Are you introducing? What?
I thought you were.
I just got confused. I thought you were doing it. See, that's what happens. Awkwardness. Here you go. Another marketing moment. We make it fun. If you don't listen all the way, we have selective hearing. I heard introduction and that was about it. Yeah. So we'll
Want me to start over?
Yes.
No, just go ahead.
No, just go ahead. It's
Let's
fine.
go ahead. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, ladies.
I'm so excited. I'm sorry, Jennifer, you played that video. It's on you. You got
I know everybody's laughing because
get
it's
my dinosaur out.
Yes, it's Thursday morning, April 28th, and we are part of TTR Networking, and we're just happy to welcome Tony Olson from Referral Runway with Referral Runway, because we've been using this now. We made a special intro or a special invitation to Tony for today, and we are recording this so that we can share this because we've been using it. We figured out we've been using this for 6 months already. And I know a lot of us, and I'm sure Tony can tell us all kinds of stories about some of the organizations that have been, well, he was telling us before we started recording that there's a lot of organizations using it, and there's a learning curve. And you know, those people who are on here today, I know Monica was really the one who wanted to have this, and then she got a presentation she had to give this morning, and I said, no worries, we're going to be on the, you know, we'll be on the call and we'll record it and share it. But I know that it took even a while for us to get everybody aware of Referral Runway. Now it's a matter of how do we maximize it. And I will say right before I turn it over to Tony, that I have now started to talk to a couple, what I'm calling our global partners in Referral Runway. And we'll start sharing more about that as we go. We're still kind of defining the package that is an offer. We have some industries that are not in all of our groups or at all. I mean, we have a couple, Tony's got a good example, and you can share. We're looking at, there's a house inspection company, there is a printing company, and who was the other one? Oh, a credit card processing company that we, you know, I've been networking for a long time. They used to be common members of these groups, but it's harder and harder to find those. But anyway, what they would be is the global partner is across the board. Sorry, I've got all these pop-ups coming. They're across the board a member of all the groups. They basically purchase a big package that makes them then kind of an honorary, I don't know if that's the right word. They're a member of all the groups. They would present for all the groups so many times a year. They get a lot of other good little perks, but part of it is, a good part of it is they get an advertisement banner on Referral Runway. And there's pages, all the groups have pages, and we're still defining that. But I guess I would basically tell you, if you know somebody, if there's a company out there that would, you know, you think, hey, that would be a great one. You know, nobody's locked in yet. So we're exploring that. Tony, I'm going to turn it over to you. We're really happy that you're here. Can you tell us about that? That may not be the best place to start, but I've already brought it up. So I would love to have those that are on the call and those listening to understand what that, you know, we call them a global partner. I think you call them, what do you call them?
We
Sponsors.
Well, thanks for having me. It's good to be here. And I'm here to answer questions and kind of help you work through the next steps and try to get more value. And what you were talking about is perfect because I know your goals after talking with you a lot about your organization is that you're trying to provide value for your members. And so that is one way you can do that is to provide value, to drive value into each group is to find sponsors and find those global partners. And so that's a great way that every group can benefit from it. And today I just want to hit on a couple of points of you know, making things stick. We talked a little bit about how celebrating those wins and being able to close more business, being able to close at a higher rate is one of the value plays you can get with using the software and becoming closer as a group. And so I'll kind of touch on that again now that we're kind of into this is, it takes a little bit. There's an adoption period to new ways of doing things, to a new software, to new technology. So don't get discouraged when everything doesn't happen right away. Be optimistic and find those ways to celebrate those wins, because that is one of the best ways to keep the energy going in these groups and to keep the motivation up. And so when I was talking and telling that story about there's a couple groups chapters in a local group. Sorry about that. When we celebrate, they have two groups that were meeting and they were having a little competition, and it was about close rates of their business. So when we pass referrals, we're passing business and they close at a great rate. When we have those relationships already built and we bring them into the group, this is a way to make that more accountable. And this is a way where when we pass a referral through Referral Runway, both the sender and receiver receive that info. They're able to walk it through the process. And so when we even have a relationship that already exists outside of the network, when we bring it in there, there's accountability that happens. And relationship is always strengthened when you're holding each other accountable. And so that's what our software does. It holds people accountable. And so the example that we were talking about earlier was two chapters were competing against each other, and they're closing business at a 70+% close rate. One of them was 69 point something.
Hey, Tony,
you're on mute.
Yep, I saw that happen. All right, I'm back.
That's why we don't give her hosting.
I don't think she liked what I was saying.
I'm sorry.
She didn't like what I was saying. She cut me off. And no, I did not. I was not swearing, so it wasn't a censorship thing.
Sorry.
Well, I don't know where I got cut off, but the idea is that you get more accountability by using this software. And so if you can find ways to engage people, the best way to showcase that is to celebrate those wins. So if you're closing business at a higher rate because you're both accountable and you're both seeing that walk through the process, it's just a great way to celebrate. And so my encouragement to you all is that you're starting to pass business, and that is an amazing thing. You're starting to see those referrals pass, and when they close, to celebrate that and to share that with each other. And that's a way to get the momentum going and get other people to use it and to see those successes. And so that's all the software does, is gives you those tools to help celebrate. And then on the other side, when somebody is not getting referrals, not connecting, not showing up at meetings, it gives you an option to engage them and find that out before it's too late. Because our goal is to help support each other and to, again, make that connection at a higher level. So utilize this info, utilize that data that's in there to help strengthen your group. And if you always keep that positive and you're ahead of the game on being able to help different members, then you can all kind of get better together. So I want to kind of open it up, and I don't know what all you would like to talk about. So I'd like to take some kind of suggestions on what features you've used, what you're interested in. I can share my screen and show you a couple of the latest features. I can start there while you're thinking about your questions. How about that? And let me know, can you help, Nicole, can you allow me to share the screen?
And the other thing, there was something you just said, sorry. There was a question. Sorry, it'll come to me. I know there was something I was going to, I know that Tony's they're doing a lot of updates. He keeps calling, or not calling, but he'll let me know every once in a while that there's something new. Oh, and Angie's not on here, so I guess I'll share that with her later about the admin, but go ahead, Tony, sorry.
Absolutely. Well, while you're thinking about any questions you have and a feature or something you want me to dive into, I'll just kind of showcase a new feature and show you my dashboard here. So on my dashboard, you'll see this is kind of where everything's housed. This is my to-do list. I have any referrals that are handed off to me that I need to address, this is everything coming into me. So I've cleaned up my to-do list of handed off, contacted, proposal, and they're all to success. So I don't have anything to do. But I want to highlight this new feature, which is my personal revenue goal for the year. And so now if you, and I'll click up here to show you where you can do this. Each individual member can set their goal for the year on what they would like to receive in closed business throughout the year. So whatever that looks like to you, we're all about setting goals and trying to track those. That's one thing we wanted to be confident in and to provide that support with. So if you click on your logo up here and click on my account, now at the bottom, after you've completed your profile, which this is always step one, we want to get this to 100% because this is your digital business card. You can share that with people, your groups can interact with it. That's probably the easiest, best way to use this software to help each other is to share each other's info in their voice. And so as I'm editing that, I go down to the bottom here and there's a new revenue goal line here. And so for 2022, I put in a $7,500 revenue goal. And now I go back to my dashboard and that tracks it throughout the year. So it is year to year. So January to December, just year to date. And it'll show, revenue received. And so I get to see a lot of other stats of revenue I've passed and my top senders and receivers in my network, a lot of fun stuff. These are great ways to kind of just track, what's working for you. You get to see when I'm sending the most referrals. Obviously, August, I was obviously working really hard to send some referrals there, spiked up. But that's a really fun way to be able to see and track how you're doing. This feature is also available for your group. So you can set at the group level your goals. And that is at the same spot. And then I'll go ahead and click into one of these two and show you. As a leader, this is where leadership will set that. I'll just click into one of these to show where it's at. So when we're editing the leadership, we can set a goal for that as well. So you could set a goal to do so much money with everybody, and that collects data from all the members, and you're working together for a common goal. And so that is separate from the individual one. And when we look into this, we look into each group, then we can see that progress on the right side here, as well as when you click into a specific group, you can see that group up here. And so it's a fun way to celebrate and to, like I said, that was one way a network was using that. And so I encourage you to set some goals for your groups and try to have a discussion, make them realistic. I know we always talk about, everybody talks about SMART goals. Let's make those realistic so that you can work together and celebrate those wins. So now you've had time to think about it. What kind of questions you have? What would you like me to show you?
Tony, on that last thing that you just covered, a quick question. Can goals be set either by dollar value exchanged, or if the group elects, can they do a goal of conversion rate? That
tracker bar is just dollar amount right now. You can definitely see those other stats. So if you wanted to set a goal as a chapter or as a group for those other things, it just wouldn't have the tracker bar to show the completion process. But by all means, that's exactly, we have groups that will set all three goals. They'll set how many number they want to pass. They'll set how many, how much closed business they want to see. And then they might even track other stuff too, but they have multiple goals. So it just won't show up in that tracker bar.
And then do you have recommendations on how to handle like revenue for people who work on commission, say a real estate agent, insurance agent? They sell a policy that's worth, X dollars, but they individually are only getting a portion of that. What's your recommendation around how to track revenue for commission?
Well, kind of being around a bunch of different groups, obviously I've seen kind of what most people are doing, and that is, again, up to you on exactly how you track that. But yes, if we put a full value of the home into there, it would skew the numbers quite a ways. And so what we typically look at is revenue into the company. And so think of gross revenue. So one of my other businesses is a restaurant business. So obviously I'm not going to make 100% of profit on every sandwich I sell. So we bring that whole revenue dollar, the top line number in. And so for a realtor or somebody like that, it would be their commission. And so it's not necessarily what percentage of that, say 3%, maybe they get the 6% because they're doing an awesome job on both sides. But whatever percentage comes into their brokerage, even though they don't get all of that, that full 3% would be what we would enter. Insurance agents, we usually work off premiums. I've seen a lot of people do premiums where they will enter the premiums, and they'll do it every 6 months because that's a good renewal term. They'll put in the full value for the whole 6 months, so they only do it once, knowing that not too many people cancel halfway through. They might shop it later, but putting those in, you get some weird ones that are like banks where hey, open account. And there's not going to be, if they open an account with $100,000, they don't make $100,000 on that account. It's hard to monetize some of those, and so they get creative, and they might monetize it based on their bonuses that they get in their branch, and put that dollar in. We kind of always, I've seen people say that we're not turning this into the IRS, so that doesn't need to be perfect, but we're trying to celebrate wins and really put some value to that so that you can track that. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, it's tricky with some of those. So I guess the short answer is you're trying to put in the amount that the person actually, it's not really what they get in their own pocket, but
Correct.
What comes into the company.
Yeah. So think of if you referred somebody to them, what did they pay? What was their top line dollar?
Yeah.
So we're obviously, because that does drive, the gross revenue does drive the health of an organization. So when that money comes in, it's used for payroll and used for this and this. So it's fun to track that because that is what ultimately we're trying to collect into the company. And so if you can separate that out and if you try to nitpick it down to the exactly what you take home, a lot of times that's more work. We want to make this as simple as possible. So don't get granular on that. I would suggest, get a ballpark number. If you don't know, like I'm not going to go up and pull up receipts for the last 6 months to try to get this to a T. So if I have to estimate a little bit, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
What other questions everybody have? That was a good one.
I got a question, Tony.
Yeah.
This is Dawn, and I'm sorry I'm late to
Good.
your presentation, but I help facilitate the TTR Cares and our efforts and information around nonprofit support and community groups. I was
Awesome.
wondering if there was a way that we could track the time and dollars of donations to nonprofits and community groups per group, and then, TTR organization overall.
That's a great question. If you wanted to try to do that, there may be a way to either and honestly, is that's something you're kind of managing the whole thing and you're really coordinating that?
I encourage and give the information and opportunities, but I'd really like to see the response from our members as far as what they're picking up on, what they're interested in, and what they're doing.
Well, that may be something, and outside of creating maybe a specific account, if you were willing to kind of, wrap that into your account profile, having them send those to you so you can kind of track them and celebrate those on a cool level. And that might be just sending a referral to you. And so you can put a value, and even encouraging them to say, hey, value, you could set a standard if you wanted to do that and say, if your time is worth this, put a dollar amount for that, what that is. And then when they volunteer time, and I know there's I'm part of a local Main Street organization, and we value that. I think there's a dollar amount you put to value on donated time. And I forget what that dollar amount is offhand, otherwise I'd tell you, but you could have them send that. And then when they, you could just put it to close business with donated time, and you could kind of keep those referrals tracking. So I'll pull this up here. That might be something you would be able to track on your own. So here's what they look like when you've got all your referrals sent, you're looking through your list. So if you had them send that to you and maybe use a generic contact or use some kind of a code so you know what that is, then you could kind of compile that on the back end. Or you could create just kind of a dummy account and have people send it to that. But it might be more fun if it's monitored. And so you get to see when that's coming through, so you can compile that for them. That'd be a great exercise.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
And if I can think of what that dollar amount is, for nonprofits, there's a very, very clear way you have to show that value. And so when you're talking about donated hours, that is super important to track that on and monetize that. It shows your stakeholders that it's a great, that they're getting that value out of it too. So when they've done that and put that to 20,000 hours this year is equivalent to this much this much donated money, that's a big deal. So that's a great thing to celebrate.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Who else has a question? Who else is stuck somewhere? Is there somebody that is stuck? Are you having troubles or a pain point we can address with your group? Are you having trouble getting some momentum? What can I help you with?
Tony, I had a question also about trying to get in touch with members who are in other groups other than the group that I'm in. Mm-hmm. And maybe can you go over just what's the most effective way of doing that? Absolutely.
Well, there's two fields, and I'll kind of hit on them right here. There's groups where you can kind of look at what groups there are. It will show the leaders of each group. And it does show like the info on kind of where they meet. That is something that looks like we could do a little better job of getting, if you have meeting locations each week, or even Zoom, obviously contact for Zoom link here. There's ways that you can share that info and kind of track that. When you click in on each one, then you'll see a list of everybody that's part of this. And so each person has their own profile. And so I'm going to pick on Jennifer just because I know her profile is complete here, so I don't call somebody out by accident. So Jennifer's in this group, so I click on her and it pulls up her profile. And now I can see that, I can share that, I can interact with it. The send message does go just creates a generic email, but the way to message them and reach out to them is right down here. There's a plus button, and that pops up either do a quick shortcut link for the referral or for a message. You can also get to it by clicking on the message icon up here, and you can go into your messaging and you can add a new message. So in the message, and this is where we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, you're going to see a little bit different screen. If you're not a leader, you'll just see this drop down of all the groups, and you can send a message across any group in your whole network. So it's sorted by group, so you can kind of see where you're looking for. You can select them and you can send a one-on-one message. For leaders, this is kind of how we communicate. And so they can select all the members and send it all out as a group message. And that's the way we can keep communicating with their messages. And then, admins can send it out to the whole network if you need a network-wide message. So my suggestion would be to start with the messaging right here. This sends them a message in the referral runway. And anytime a referral is sent, a message is sent or replied to, anytime a referral is updated, everybody gets an email to their email, to their username email. They get a copy of that sent to their email. And so they can click right on it and interact with it. So we always are communicating, it's pushing it out to it. This is a web app. It's not a downloadable app. So we don't have the push annoyances of this dinging on your phone every time something happens. And so that's the way we communicate, and it gets it out directly to them.
So they see it if they go into Referral Runway and log in, but they're not receiving a push notification on their phone.
They're receiving it in email. It pushes it to an email to their email on file. So let's see, let's go ahead and try something.
And I'm on my phone now. I'm on my phone. I get messages through Referral Runway all the time from people who are using it. And I just click on I guess it's Tony usually, right? Tony, you and I, I'm messaging you through Referral Runway. Yes. And I get an email. So
absolutely.
It's pretty simple, right? You just click on the email and it brings it up. Don't do anything else. Yep. I think it's pretty easy.
Yep.
Okay.
it takes you right in. So it's just a quick link. It sends you an email version of a quick link of like your referral is updated, and it has a box that says view referral or view message. So it gets it out to them. And so you've been getting emails from Jennifer. Those are coming through the system. So those are copied through there. And that's just a great way to interact with your group. And that gets them to click into the system, and then they'll have to log in. That helps them remind them to update referrals, reminds them that, hey, there's this whole network that you can interact with on here and find ways to connect. And so the more you can get them inside it, and we understand that, some people will just get that message and never open this. And, there's an adoption rate that, some people will just never, there's early adopters, and then whatever they call the other ones that never adopters. I don't know if that's a thing, but you just know that some people are not going to do this, and that's okay. This helps in a lot of different ways, and it has to be a win for somebody. So if they're just like, I can't do this, I refuse to embrace technology, or refuse to interact with that, that's not going to affect the rest of the group. But it's accountability. And so they might have their own way of doing that, and that's okay. So don't feel like 100% of everybody using this all the time, they're always on it. That's not what it's for. This is to help strengthen your relationship. So keep a realistic goal in mind of that, and that'll help it.
Okay.
And can you talk about how to use this with people outside of the network that we're communicating with? Absolutely.
So when we send referrals, that's the one way we can kind of communicate, because yes, you have to have a member, a username and log in, and you have to be a member to interact inside the system. But when we go to send a referral, so say you have a visitor that comes into the group. I'll start with the referrals first. So we have 3 ways of sending referral: in group, cross group, and to a non-member. And so the in group is obviously your specific group you're working with, and all that does is populate a little different list. The cross group, and you can pull that up. I'll click into one real quick. This is the group you're part of. This is the cross chapter, and it loads all of the groups. And so you can click from anybody and select somebody to send a referral to. And then, whoops, let's just click back here. If you send to a non-member, all that does is you're sending it to somebody who doesn't have an account. And so it's just going to take all that info just like you normally would, but you're going to just type in an email, and it's going to send all that info in an email. Now, a non-member, we don't track the stats of that because a stat is associated with a specific account. So, if you send some business to somebody, it'll show that you sent it, but it won't show, it won't track any of the stats and close rates and that kind of stuff until they become a member. But it's the same principle. So that's one way. So if you have somebody visit and you're like, hey, I need to sign up with you for this service or product, you can send it to them. That kind of gives them a quick way to connect with that, and they'll see it all in their email. The other way is to share your profile. And so when we go into members, and I didn't get to the next one, this is a great way to send, search, to sort, all of that. So I can select all of the groups, and I get to see everybody in it, and it puts up 25 at a time. But if I wanted to look for, let's test it. I haven't done this ahead of time, so let's see how many accountants you have. I can spell right, maybe.
I think we only have one accountant in the whole network, Tony.
Well, I probably spelled it wrong too. Let's do marketing. I can spell that better.
Yeah.
So when I select everybody, I can search up here, and I get all the marketing consultants and marketing people. And it will pull up multiple times if they're in different networks. And so you'll see extra people. And so when I click on that, then I can click on their profile, and it will take me to their account. And Diana did a great job. She got her profile complete. I've got all her social links. I can interact with those. But one of the greatest features that we've seen make this effective in communicating in and outside the network is this share feature. So every one of these profiles is a public kind of digital business card. So when I share that inside the network, obviously I have the menu bar and I see everything when I'm logged in, but I can still see that. If I send this to anybody, and I'm going to click outside of a new window for a second, and if I send this to somebody, it shows up as a little bit different. So you don't see the menu over here, and it's a different code. This code up here, everybody gets a code when they sign up. You can embed this anywhere. You can email this, you can text it. I just copy and pasted it into my browser. So just to show it here. But this is a great way. You can post this on Facebook and it'll create a little widget that shows it right on your Facebook page. So you can share this in a bunch of different ways. And what I found is that if you make a connection and say, hey, I've got a friend, Diana, she could really help you out with that problem you're having. And can I have her call you? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. Let me try it. Say, okay, I'm going to send you Diana's info, and you send this little link over, and it'll pop up as a little box in their text message. And I sent it to them, and I said, okay, I'm going to go have Diana call you. In the system, I'm going to send her a referral, but I just sent this over to them. Now they get to pull this up. They see Diana's face. They see all of her contact info. They can Facebook stalk her over here and see what she's all about. They can look at her bio, why she's in business, her business bio, and they get to hear it in her own voice. And so it's her messaging right to them. Well, by the time Diana calls them and says, hey, I got a referral, I wanted to reach out to you. Oh yeah, Diana. They feel like they've already met her. So you've taken what would normally be a lead type scenario and turned it into a referral, and it helps those close rates go up so much. And we hear time and time again that when you answer that phone and you've got that they're calling that person and that referral, that means a lot. And so that's a great way to kind of use that and connect with it. And we don't have to carry around, 1,000 business cards of all the people we know to hand those off to them when we see them.
Good. Tony, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
If I have a visitor to my group and, during the time they're visiting, I ascertain that maybe my group is not a good fit for them because of the time or date, but I want to recommend them to other group leaders to invite them to their groups. What's the best way for me to do that? To just send the message to the other group leaders with information on my visitor?
Absolutely. That could be one, the sending a message cross chapter with their info, just put it in there. That's obviously it's an easy way. It could be a scenario where you are sending them as a referral to that other group. And if you wanted to track those and you're sending somebody over, I've had people use this and I've gotten referrals for an employee. Like that was a good example we were talking about before we jumped on here. Is somebody knew, I asked for somebody that I could hire, and they sent me a candidate. Mm-hmm. And that's a unique one where it's not necessarily closed business, but when I hired them, I counted that as closed business, and because that's a lot of money, that's a lot of time and energy, and so I very much value that. So we've had that same scenario where you could pass that as a referral to one of the other group leaders and send their info. As a kind of a teaser, we are working on a way to track guests and have a little more interactive guest feature on this. So that'll be coming in the near future for features. We've had requests of ways to add them to the attendance. I will click on real quick let's see one of these, and you can click into the attendance. And this is where I won't show the notes of what they did in their meeting, but right here, you can see it tracks attendance, and we will be adding where you can add the guests. And so what guests are tracked in there, because we'd like to capture that info. And part of that is because we want to be able to follow back up with them. We want to be able to see, maybe we could reach back out to the guests, and that's a good candidate for the future, or we just need to know, hey, I need their service. They didn't join, but I need their service still, and it's a great connection. So let's go find their info or share that with somebody else. So we got some cool features coming there.
Yeah, I think what I've done in the past, because I use the meeting detail on a weekly basis, mm-hmm. I attach a recording of our Zoom call. Great. I write in a little synopsis of the meeting, and if we have a guest, I do put their names in there. And I tell my members, if they've missed a meeting, go to Referral Runway. That's a great place for them to view the recording of our meeting and find out who was there. So
absolutely. Now the meeting feature is only available to the leaders of the group. And so that doesn't show up to everybody. So if you wanted to share that with your entire group, I would suggest, and you have access as a leader to send that out. So I would go in here and click on message, and then you would go in and say, this is your group. I would send that out to everybody. And
Okay,
then
cool.
as you go down, you can attach that file to the message as well. And so if as your leaders, and that's a great way. And I would like to encourage all of you, if you're a leader of your group, or if you're or if you push on your leader of your group to take those meeting notes, because that's a way where everybody can kind of be on the same team. And whether you're there or not, you can track what's going on. You can connect with people, and you can plan. So we do a lot of planning from that spot, because you can say, hey, next 2 or 3 weeks or whatever we're going to do, here's where our next plan is. You get to see those meeting notes. That's a great way to track how it's going as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. What other questions? We got a few more minutes here.
I have a couple questions. That's great information about using it for the posting the recording, but I wanted to ask about the referrals. How can we post closed referrals that maybe didn't go through here? Is there a way that we could record that? Because I do have referrals that I get. We have a separate system that we set up, and we were already using that. And I think that's the place we want to stay with instead of using this. How do I post that I'm closing those?
Are you talking about referrals that you've kind of processed outside of this or before?
Yes, but they're part of the TTR network.
Okay. Was it somebody that's in your group that sent them to you?
Yes.
Okay, so you can't send them to yourself. So like if you were to try to help them out and say, hey, I close business and I want to send a referral to myself so I can track it, you would have to get them to send you a referral. And then you can update it, you can add that dollar amount. So a lot of the way we do that is, maybe keep it simple is, hey, you have a bunch of referrals. If I have they're coming from one person, have them send you one referral. And then you could lump them all together if you want to combine them, or if you want to track it separately, say, hey, send me 5 referrals and I'll update them individually. But we do have to have them enter that into the system. We didn't want to kind of open it up to people being able to enter their own referrals for themselves. So we thought it has to be tied to another member. And so they do have to initiate it. One thing that we get that often of if a member had left, or if it's somebody that is no longer a member or doesn't have a profile, but they did want to record that, you might reach out to Jennifer and just say, hey, Jennifer, will you send a referral so I can track it from this other person? Okay. So I had a realtor in one of the groups that left. And so I just went and said, oh, I'll just send it to you. And it's okay. It's going to show on my numbers, but I'm not really part of the group of your group. So it's not going to skew it too much, but you get that credit for it. So if you needed to, like, if you couldn't get them to send you one, to have somebody else send it to you, knowing that they're Jennifer would be a great example of that.
Okay. And then a second question for the social media, and I don't know where this would go. Is there a way to link our Google My Business reviews?
There is. So if you click on your profile and go down to the bottom, when you enter right here, your social media links, there is a miscellaneous link category. And you can put anything in there. I know a lot of people have put their Calendly link, their, the scheduling link, their looks like I put a YouTube video on here for one of the promo videos at one point. And those are great ways. I don't know whose that is, Angie McHale. That was her iPhone deal, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And she had a cool link. So she put that on her. I think we used that as a test one time. And so she put that on there. So she just directs people to click on that bottom part, that miscellaneous link. And since I don't have it, it won't show up, but let's see if we can't show Angie. I thought she had it in there. But is that kind of what you're asking?
Yeah. I've been using my Google business page a lot more, and I realized that I don't think I had it connected. So I just wanted to see, I figured it would go under social media, but I just wanted to see, will it have the icon, or how does that work?
It just shows up as this generic icon.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we couldn't do that just because of how many different things there were. The other way is to click on it right in here and just put it in your profile. It is a clickable link when you put it in your bios. So that's a great way to see it. I'll click on her link down here.
Mm-hmm.
You can see that's the fun way to do it.
Okay.
And then let's see, let's go back to groups and I'll click on mine. I'll show you just kind of, because I've got, all right, so you scroll down in mine and I've got a couple links in it. And so I have several different businesses and I'd put them all in there to kind of make it clear. So then they can click through to the websites and then, or click on the social media. So you can get creative on this. Like you can embed videos in here and all that is interactive.
Okay.
All right. What other questions in the last few
Great.
minutes?
Thank you.
Here? You're welcome.
Tony, I don't know. I know there was a minute or two in there when I was in transit here, but not that I don't want to answer questions, guys, but you can go in. Can you show them how they can message you, Tony, if they don't already know that?
Absolutely. So I am on, if you go click on the groups and I'm on the help desk. So that's the easiest way to reach me is if you connect with me, but you can send me a message. So right from here and do it right in Referral Runway. It helps me out a lot. And when you click on the drop down, you'll go through and find help desk. And obviously I won't show up on my own because I'm sending it from my account, but I will be in this list of help desk. You can send me a quick message if you get stuck, if you have a payment issue where something errored or you have an issue, or what I love hearing is feature requests. So we're always trying to make the site better. So, if we've got something that you would love to track guests, that's where that feature is coming from, because people have requested ways to interact and track guests and keep that info. So we're working on a feature. And that doesn't guarantee, I won't promise that it's going to be out tomorrow, because there is a lot of steps and sometimes things are just not as easy or possible quickly. So be patient with me on if you have a big feature that you'd like to see. We always try to make this better. And if we get enough response and enough people looking for certain things, then we'll try to get those rolled out.
There's also an FAQ form and I sent it. I think I sent a link out to it last week. Just because I'm trying to give some tips every week to the leaders. So that's good. Yep, that's right. That's it.
Absolutely. So yeah, upper right here, there's right here is where you can answer those frequently asked questions. That's where a lot of people can start. So get them logged in, make sure they accept their invite, and then send them, and then have them open this, and it gives them a lot of the little tidbits of that. And yes, if they get stuck, there's probably some stuff that you'll have to reach out to the help desk, but this is a great starting point. And then we'll be working on adding, she's got a lot of info in here, which is great. So there's a media library that she is adding, Jennifer and everybody is adding resources for you and that you can download and see. So, making sure to encourage that part and everybody using that. The feature that is kind of new that maybe everybody hasn't seen yet is we do have a calendar feature. And so for the group, for the whole network admins, they can add calendar events on here that are clickable. And let's just click on one of these and you get to see
good luck.
events and signups. Yeah.
I haven't done much since the beginning of April. Sorry, guys. I will do that. I may make some people admin so that, because I'm not, there's only a couple of us and we're kind of doing it as we can, but anyway, go ahead, Tony, sorry.
And so that'll be something that's going to get, we'll actually have a shortcut link of upcoming events coming soon to add to that calendar. Since I know that's a little hidden right now as we get that feature built, but that was a request we had from an organization. So utilize that, and there's a lot of ways that you can help share. We're not, like we always say, we're not trying to be a CRM. We're not trying to be all to everything. So there are limitations on some of the messaging, and you're not gonna be able to reply all. So as those features get added on, we'll keep trying to make that better and better. But we're trying to make it at least as clean as possible for you to interact with each other. What other questions before we wrap up?
I guess I would say to everybody on, thank you very much for being here. And we're always looking for ideas. And like Tony said, the features thing, if you've got some thoughts or something you want to share with, not mean thoughts, good thoughts, or some ideas. But like I mentioned at the beginning, and if you weren't on, talking about finding global partners out there to, possibly, Tony, just give us that real quick. You said you were talking to Worlds of Fun.
Yeah, we have
and
a
they
local
were,
local theme park that we'd love to partner with, and we've had sponsors come on board. We always try to ask them to add value to the group in some way. So whether that's a discount, that was one we're asking them to possibly host our a big family event as part of their sponsorship, so that we can all go up and support them. I know you have some local businesses, even like car dealerships that may not be great members in there, but hey, they can provide a value at a discount, or cell phone companies. Providing value to members is what I know Jennifer is trying to do at a lot of different levels. So if you have somebody you'd like to see, or some perk you'd like to have in there, that's a great way to connect them, and you get visibility to the group. And a lot of these companies love supporting small business and love supporting groups like this. So it's a great way to get them plugged in, knowing that they're probably not a regular every week member. So thinking of those kind of members to bring into the group helps everybody get better.
yeah. Thank you, Tony. And actually, I'll just leave it with, on that level, we are still defining the packages that would be available. I think we have our first partner. So if you think you've got somebody out there, I think the other thought was, if a member brings us somebody, they would get some kind of a, something for that. So this is the beginning of the program, but I do think it'll be a.
Oh, we lost her.
Okay.
Well, I'll
What is
finish
it?
up by saying
We
thank
lost
you.
you froze.
Oh,
and
well,
then,
goodbye. All right. We'll see you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all, and reach
thank
out
you,
if you have any other
Tony.
questions or anything pops up, and I'd love to help in any way I can.
Thank
you.
All right. Take
Great
care. Thanks,
questions.
Tony. Bye, guys. Be
Bye.
safe.
Thank you, Monica, for
Bye-bye.
inviting us.